Welcome to our FAQ session, Frequently Asked Questions, focused on mental health. My name is Carolina Galeano, and I'm happy to be having this conversation. I would love to invite you all to also join us in this very important conversation. If you think you might be struggling with anything around mental health, or if you know someone who might be experiencing issues around mental health, please join this conversation. We would love to hear from you. You can ask any question in the comments and we can address it live, but you can also just ask us later and we will be happy to get back to you as soon as we see that. Thank you so much for joining us today. And with me, I have Stephanie Will and Carmen Poston-Travis. So tell me a little bit, tell us about who you are and what you do here at Montgomery College.
Hi. Well, I am Stephanie Will. I am the Mental Health Services Program Manager here at the college, and I work out of our Student Health and Wellness Center for Success, or the Shaw Center. My job really is to do a lot of education and programming around mental health for students, faculty, and staff. So I do some educational things such as Mental Health 101, helping people to recognize what might be a mental health disorder, as well as how to talk to somebody who they think might be struggling. But we also do a lot of different types of stress relief programming, such as Mindful Mondays or the Give Your Brain a Break activity, to help students kind of relax a little bit and to remind everyone just to take care of their health and mental health while they're here at MC.
Great. And we'll go into some of those details, which I'm excited about. Carmen, what about you?
So I'm the Director of Student Affairs and Initiatives here at the college, and my role, in short, is to provide strategic leadership for college-wide student success initiatives, and specifically for this conversation, the Shaw Center, Student Health and Wellness Center for Success. And my role is to, provide avenues for funding, other kinds of resources, develop partnerships, and again, just provide strategic leadership for some of our initiatives to support our students relative to their mental and physical wellness.
Great. Mm-hmm. So before we go into this in depth, can we define what it is we're talking about when we say mental health and what it isn't? What is a mental health disorder?
Yeah, so I think that's a really important thing that we need to do because there's a lot of misinformation out there about mental health. And a mental health disorder is something that impacts a person's emotional state, their thinking, their behaviors, so it really impacts the whole person. You might have heard of things like depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, things along those lines. And it's important to remember that everyone experiences a range of emotions at any given time. We all experience anxiety sometimes, we all experience depression sometimes, bad things happen. It's okay to feel sad about it. We have an exam, it's okay to feel anxious about it. But what makes something a mental health disorder is its impact on a person's daily life. So if a person's not able to get up and get out of bed in the morning, if a person's not able to take care of themselves, take care of their schoolwork, and these symptoms are really impacting their ability to do what they need to do, that's when we start looking at, okay, this is beyond what we could expect from any given person to maybe this is a mental health disorder.
Carmen, tell me about how does this issue play out in the community college setting, and even really as we're talking 18 to 20-some-year-olds, right? We're seeing kind of an increase in mental health disorders in this age group. So what are you seeing from your perspective?
So what we know anecdotally and also from various studies, that mental health is a phenomenon. It's not anything new, it's a global phenomenon. A lot of people deal with mental health, but we see it a lot in students in higher education, but more so at community college. And there's been a lot of studies that have been conducted that show that at least 50% of students at community college struggle with some form of mental health conditions. And so unfortunately for us at the community college, we don't have the same level of resources that you might see at a four-year institution. So, which is why it's critical for us to develop some of these strategies or even build a model such as the Student Health and Wellness Center to support students. We don't have psychiatric or clinical settings on most community college, about 88%. nationwide, they don't exist. And so again, because it is prevalent in students in higher education, particularly specifically at community college, this is why our work that we're trying to do with the Shaw Center is actually really critical, we believe, to support student success.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned the Shaw Center. I also heard it spelled out, but can you kind of recap for us, what is the Shaw Center?
So the Shaw Center is what I'd like to look at as a model. It's an opportunity for us to address the student from a holistic perspective. So we're not only just looking at a student's academic deficiencies, like most times we do, but with the Shaw Center, we're looking at addressing students' physical and mental well-being. So that's the whole premise. So the Shaw Center focuses on 4 areas: health and safety, mental health, wellness, physical wellness, and also food insecurities and housing and homelessness. Mm-hmm. And so again, the whole premise is to provide, identify, or connect students with resources. So whether that is in a form of education, a form of training, or also actual tangible or intangible as it relates to like mental health and things like that, resources.
Right. Mm-hmm. One of the hardest things when it comes to mental health is just sometimes acknowledging that we're going through something. Maybe we suppress it, we don't want to deal with it, or we escape through, I don't know, watching television or whatever, right? So how, what are some, I guess, tips or suggestions for how people can become just more aware of what might be going on inside their mind?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So one of the big things we look for is major changes in behavior. So if you or your friend has always been a certain way and has always acted in a certain way, and all of a sudden we're starting to see something very different come out, that can be a sign that maybe something else is going on. With this 18 to 24 age group, people are changing, developmentally. That's what we expect to see. So again, we don't want to over pathologize, but if a person's generally very energetic and then all of a sudden is sleeping all the time, very tired, having trouble getting out of bed, their eating patterns have changed, they're not doing their hygiene, it's a real struggle for them to get in the shower, brushing their teeth feels like a major accomplishment. Sometimes that can be a sign. Mood swings, interferences in relationships with people, so you're having a lot of headbutting with friends or family members, maybe yelling or screaming at each other. Those are some of the types of things. Panic attacks is something else we might see. So any of those things that are changes or patterns of behavior. So if you're noticing a couple of these different things happening, that could be a sign that you or somebody might be struggling with something mental health related.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's critical also is that through the education, we help through the trainings that Stephanie does and some of the partners that we bring in, we help educate faculty, staff, and students to some of those signs and symptoms through Mental Health 101, the Mental Health First Aid, so that people are able to distinguish between what Stephanie considers a normal behavior as opposed to something that arises to a mental health condition.
Mm-hmm. We're going to be mentioning this, I think, several times, but if people wanted to just find some information right now, where can they go to?
So the Shaw Center website is actually a really wonderful resource, and it's montgomerycollege.edu/student health and wellness. Just put a dash in between each word there. Or you can just search student health and wellness on the Montgomery College website and you'll find us. But we have community resources, we have crisis contacts, so if you're in a mental health crisis, you're feeling suicidal, who you can call to get some assistance, some help. And not only the mental health resources are there, but we also have information about our trainings. We have food resources, some legal resources. So we try to be pretty universal on that website.
We try to be comprehensive. And also social media. So we'll talk about our social media platforms. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So we have an Instagram, a Twitter, Facebook, we have Snapchat too. And almost everything is at MC Shaw Center except for Twitter, which is at Center Shaw. And we, repost information, we post new information. It being Suicide Prevention Month, we're doing a lot of campaigning as far as the hashtag Be the One To campaign, reminding people how they can help when somebody is feeling suicidal. It's also Recovery Month, so we're sharing some information along those lines as well. Plus, we also post anytime we have a training coming up or mobile markets or things along those lines as well.
I think it's really easy to just maybe dismiss this as, well, I'm not dealing with this, I'm fine. But the reality is that there's a good chance that somebody around us is going to struggle or is currently struggling with something. So how to be that one person that can, you could be a lifeline for somebody, and you don't even know it. But at least educating yourself, on just the basics. I think it's a great idea. I think we all need to do that. So can you, I guess, just Carmen, before we go to a break, I did want to hear just from you. What if there was one thing that you would recommend an educator maybe that's watching or a parent that they could do to help a student, to help their child? Like what would you have them do?
What I'd have them to do is get educated, because actually, since I've been working in this area and since Stephanie came to work with us, I've become much more educated on the condition. I've become more comfortable with the condition, and I've also become to really understand that mental health is health, just as if we were treating a physical illness. And so that makes me more comfortable with the condition, and also I think would make parents and students more comfortable, perhaps even reduce a little stigma about it if we all just understand that mental health is health. And just as you would treat a physical ailment, as I mentioned earlier, you take care of your mental health in that same way. So I think that if we would just educate ourselves and understand what mental health is and what mental health is not, I think that would be that would behoove us all.
Mm-hmm. Have you, maybe you weren't quite ready for this, but do you have any examples, from just your day-to-day work of somebody that you knew that, came through the Shaw Center, sought help, and how they're doing now? No, you don't need to mention any names.
So
obviously.
it's fine, but I think, but Stephanie sees students quite a little bit more often, and in the training, and we do a lot of, we try to do little quick surveys, impact surveys to just assess. And even with, I would say probably the Mindful Monday, a student probably provided feedback about how I was feeling stressed, even with some of the stress relief activities that we have during the year. And students have shared with Stephanie and also through survey that, I was really feeling stressed when I was on campus today, but this stress relief activity just in this moment helped relieve my level of anxiety for the moment, at least for that moment.
Mm-hmm. And can I just make a clarification? As far as the Shaw Center goes, we don't have a physical location, so students aren't necessarily coming to us. We're not providing necessarily any treatment. But yes, in those types of...
So alternative is what I'd like to consider. We're providing a lot of alternative options, less clinical treatment. And so what we try to do is we go where the students are, which can be a barrier because we have 3 campuses and we want to serve all of our students. We will have a space in our new Student Services Center here at the Rockville campus. However, that will not preclude us from still going where the students are. So we try to set up, provide training throughout the college, and so we go where students are. We go where faculty are.
I think that's great. And you have presence at different fairs and kind of outdoor activities happening around campus, which I just think it's great because people need to know about these resources.
Absolutely.
So, awesome. So we don't currently have any questions yet, but I would still just love to invite you, if you are watching this right now and you have any question you might want to ask of our guests, or maybe you just are wondering, how can I help a friend that might be going through something and I don't really know how to ask them if they are going through that or not. let's just join this conversation. Write your question in the comments, and we'll be here to answer your questions. So thank you so much for joining us during this first part, and we will be right back.
Just come here. I mean, this is a great place to be.
There's a variety of international students in MC, and it just feels like home.
You are welcome here.
Ici à Montgomery College.
여러분들을 환영합니다.
Aquí en Montgomery College.
Montgomery College is part of a very diverse local population. And so it's not just about how you feel when you're on campus. When you're on campus, yes, of course we want you here. Your faculty want to have your different perspectives. We have students here that are all different ages, and so we have people here that are bringing all kinds of life experience into their classrooms and things you don't find everywhere else.
The community here is just really diverse, and I never feel like there's any judgment for anything because there's so many different cultures here that you really have to be accepting.
You have people from Africa, anywhere in the continent of South America, to Spanish-speaking countries, El Salvador. All of these people just bring unique aspects to the country, let alone the school, and you get to have a feel for each culture.
Every time you tell them, oh, I'm from Ivory Coast, they're like, oh, and then they'll start asking you questions about where you're from, trying to get to know you better and whatnot. So that's what makes me feel really welcome here.
You are welcome here.
Tại đây, Montgomery College.
They are providing lots of the valuable experience, valuable the education.
They have tremendous amount of resources that are offered here academically, financially, and even just interpersonally and career-wise as well too.
I have a good relationship with my professors.
They have office hours, they have tutoring, they have a lot of things that not only as an international student, but as a student in general, you could benefit from.
You are welcome
Here at Montgomery College.
Vous êtes
あなたたちは欢迎你来这里。
Eres bienvenido.
ici à Montgomery College.
ولدي مكواندنا.
You are welcome here at MC.
Welcome back to our frequently asked questions session here at MCTV. We're talking about mental health and how you might be able to help someone you know, or also just help yourself. Think about it. You're going through college. You are experiencing a lot of stress points, especially around exams, but also life in general can weigh down on us. So let's maybe open up our minds to the possibility that, mental health is something we need to take care of, just as we take care of our physical health. So now I have the pleasure of sitting here with Maitran, correct?
Yes, Maitran.
Yes. So tell me what you do. You're a student, but you're also very interested in this topic in particular. So tell me a little bit about that.
So my name is Maitran. Again, I am currently the president of the Mental Health Club here at the Rockville campus. I am also a major in mental health, and I am considering going into social work after the transfer. And this is a topic that I'm super passionate about and super interested in.
Great. So you obviously know a lot of students who are equally interested in this topic. What are you both really seeing are some of the primary barriers to getting help? What might prevent somebody from just seeking, resources? Sometimes it's really hard to see yourself as somebody that needs help, but it's also a position of strength, right?
Yeah, so we talk a lot about stigma, but there's a number of different other things that create barriers. Number one being insurance. Many people don't have it. Many people may have Medicaid, Medicare. So finding resources that either do a sliding scale, which is kind of based on income, or have free services can be a challenge. Because we want to make sure that we have, parity across the board and that everyone has this equal access. And a lot of times people who do have insurance, the insurance companies don't necessarily cover mental health treatment or don't cover very much mental health treatment. So that is a big one, along with transportation. We're really lucky here in the county that we have good public transportation services, but when you have to pay for parking, that is a challenge. Or in more rural areas up towards Germantown maybe and in Frederick, public transportation isn't as easy to find. So that can be a real challenge for people getting to treatment as well. There's also cultural barriers, language barriers. Trying to have therapeutic conversation through a third-party translator is really challenging, or when you're trying to discuss something going on that is impacted by your particular culture, and you're working with a therapist who doesn't really understand that, that can be a real challenge as well.
Yeah, in addition to like people who just don't understand what they are going through themselves. Like if you don't have that education, you don't know this isn't normal, how I'm feeling isn't supposed to be how I'm feeling. So like getting that education aspect in, versus also people not knowing how to get the help that they need. Even though there are millions of resources available, if you don't know about them, you can't reach them.
So I know, you know, you are probably our resident expert on what are these community resources, and so where can students find them? And maybe let's talk about a couple of them, a couple of, you know, just ways that students can get help right here on campus, or, you know, maybe it's their neighborhood, it's closest to them.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier the Shaw Center website. We do list community resources. We also list campus resources. The counseling and advising offices on each campus are a really wonderful place to go. I work with them to try to help establish what are the community resources that are available so they can make referrals for you. It's also nice to have somebody on campus that you can talk to, so it's a really good place to go and do that as well. On campus, there's also disability support services. So if you've had an IEP or a 504 related to mental health in high school, you can get accommodations and services here as well. So please don't think that, you know, talking to DSS means that you're weak or you can't do it on your own. Take the support. You know, nobody can do everything on their own at all times. So that's another really wonderful resource on campus that we have. Some of the community resources, we have a mental health association here in Montgomery County called Every Mind. They are a really wonderful resource in the community. Montgomery County also has a crisis hotline, and they are available 24/7. They are always staffed by licensed clinicians, and a crisis is what you deem a crisis to be. It doesn't necessarily need to be a suicidal crisis. It can be, you know, I'm just feeling really, really depressed and I don't know what to do. And that might be a crisis for you. It could be, I've had my second panic attack this week and I'm not quite sure what to do next. So the crisis hotline, which is available on our website as well, is also a really wonderful resource.
Excellent.
Plus, I know my train is currently doing her internship for her associate's program.
That's right. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so right now I'm interning at this place called the Family Justice Center, which helps domestic violence victims and their families. So that's always an option. We are open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5 p.m. And if you or a family member is experiencing domestic violence, we work specifically with intimate partner violence. But we also welcome people who just need a safe space. And we can refer you to the sheriff's office, we can refer you to legal aid, we can refer you to immigration services as well.
So what should a student do if they, you know, we talk about it can actually be a little bit overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So what might be the very first step? If they're not sure, but they might want to explore, you know, maybe I am going through something, but I don't really know, and who could tell me if this is normal or not?
Yeah. And that's where counseling and advising is also really wonderful. You know, we do train with counseling and advising on how to handle a crisis situation, even though that's not their primary role. You know, students come through and we've all got stuff going on sometimes. You know, school is stressful. So they do have some coping skills. They can go through time management techniques, some stress management. We have a really wonderful faculty member over at the Rockville who specializes in mindfulness. So there's lots of different things that they can work on, and as I said before, they can also help refer you to community agencies if you need that more ongoing counseling services. But they can do some of that short term, helping you manage to be able to do well in classes.
Great, and I know a lot of this information is at the montgomerycollege.edu/student health and wellness with a dash in between, right? I got it. So yeah, all that, the various community resources are on there, as well as campus resources. So highly encourage people to visit that part of our website, or just search within the website mental health and wellness, and they'll find it. So as the president of the Mental Health Club, tell me a little bit about who can get involved, and what are some activities that you all do, and
So with the Mental Health Club, anyone can get involved. I have a long email list of people who get tons of emails from me. And anyone who wants to be interested can come. Mental Health Club will talk about different coping skills that you can use, stress relief as well, time management. We talk about also different theoretical orientations, different things that we can do. We don't do therapy. It can look like a therapy session, but it's just a group of people who like to get together and talk about mental health and breaking that stigma. So we have some volunteer activities. We do trainings with Stephanie. She does the mental health first aid training, which is an 8-hour course.
Yes.
It's an 8-hour course.
8-hour certification.
Yes, but you do get certified, and where you can sign up through Stephanie or through the Mental Health Club. But yeah.
And I know that you mentioned earlier what is it, Mindful Mondays?
Mindful Mondays,
What is that about? 'Cause that sounds really nice.
So Mindful Mondays is kind of a same time, same place every week throughout the course of the semester. Currently, we're just here on Rockville campus. I believe this is the 5th semester we've been doing this, which is really exciting. But it's an hour long, but it's designed as a drop-in. So if you can only come for 5 minutes, you can only come for 5 minutes. That's totally fine. Come and go as you please. But we start out with a 15-minute guided mindfulness meditation focusing on breathing. And mindfulness, for those of you who don't know, is basically paying attention on purpose, which sounds weird or maybe kind of stupid, but really research has shown that if we're able to be more mindful, we're able to be more present, we're able to know more about what's going on in our environment, what's going on with our body, with our emotions, and hopefully that way we can recognize stress before it becomes a big problem. And it's shown that practicing mindfulness over time does help relieve stress. So we start with that 15-minute practice, and then the other 45 minutes is just quiet stress relief time. So I'll bring things like coloring, Play-Doh. For those of you who like to write, I bring some writing prompts. If you want to listen to music, just put your headphones in, as long as the rest of the room is quiet.
It's a quiet place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
center. Find your center.
We're here. Yeah, we're in the Science Center, room 361, from noon to 1 o'clock every Monday during the semester. We just started 2 weeks ago, so
awesome.
Yeah, we've got a nice little base built up. So I hope to see everyone there.
Great. Any last thoughts before we have to head out?
I just really want to stress again that the mental health is part of our overall health. I think that's really the key to breaking a lot of stigma. Just like we would treat diabetes or cancer or high blood pressure, we need to treat mental health issues because they are going to impact the rest of our body. We think of mental health as a brain issue, but really your brain controls literally everything else that's going on in your body. So it's really important to make sure that that's something that we're taking care of. So even if you think, maybe I want to learn a little bit more, head to our website, make an appointment with Counseling and Advising via Starfish, and just say, hey, tell me a little bit more about what this is about, or drop in at Mindful Mondays or any of the other events we have listed on our Shaw Center website.
Awesome.
If you are interested in mental health or interested in any humanitarian work, go ahead and ask your counselor about the mental health program here at Montgomery College. It's such a great program. The teachers are great. The classmates are amazing. Class sizes are small, so you really get to know everyone. And it's a great segue to the rest of your future.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for joining us today and sharing all this awesome information. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, write them in the comments. We'll get back to you. Thank you so much and hope to see you next time.